White people should be able to say and I'm going to tell you why.
So recently, Amber Rose and Nick Cannon had an interview, which are two entertainers, Amber Rose and Nick Cannon, and several interesting things came out. One of the interesting things being that Amber Rose said that she believes that white people should be able to use the N-word, which is a word that's been used to degrade and oppress black people. Let's have a listen. This clip comes from the Indisputable with Dr. Rashad Richey YouTube channel, and I'll put a link in the description below.
White people should be able to say and I'm going to tell you why. Because no one, when you really stop giving a about stupid, dumbass words, will stop killing each other. And Nick, it's very different. You know, if it says the hard R and they're pointing at you, it's very different than rap lyrics or saying, oh, that's my homie.
Right.
You
if
know?
Somebody's using a term as a derogatory term,
but we know that.
You know the difference between somebody just saying
we're all
a
smart enough. We're all smart enough to know what's right and what's wrong.
So let's be for real. Whether you say an ER or an A, the word is the word. And it's a word that was used to heavily oppress black people for hundreds of years. As black people, in general, we seem to be the only race of people that are so weak-minded that we'd accept other nations, other races calling us a slur. Because she's not the only person that thinks like this, that's of black descent, or the only people that would call each other the same slur. You don't see the Chinese allowing themselves to be called the C word. You don't see the Arabs allowing people to call them sin N-words. And you definitely don't see the Jewish people allowing anyone to call them the K word. Because they have the utmost respect for themselves and they make sure that you have respect for them as well. The truth is that word is a heavy word. And whether you want to call it a stupid word or try to ignore how heavy it is, it still doesn't take away from the gravity of the word. Imagine a word that was put on black people by whites to keep them oppressed and heavily enslaved. And fast forward 200 years into the future now, and you're just allowing them to say it, white people to say it like it's fine and it's no big deal to your people. That's a complete lack of self-respect. And it's reasons like this why a lot of times we're not taken seriously as a people. Here's racist right-wing Republican commentator Nickfuentes saying the N-word, and let's see what happens with him concerning that. So in this clip, in this podcast, he's surrounded by a bunch of black people, and they're telling him to say the N-word. They're making fun of it. They're daring him to say it.
You can say it.
Yeah. Say it. Come on, man. I want you to say it.
For real. Yeah, what you got?
You want me to say it?
Yes.
Is anyone going to hit me if I say it?
No. Let's go. 2 hours. No. Come on, Nick. What you got?
All right.
Nick Fuentes on the Piers Morgan show.
So how do they feel when you say you just want to be away from any black people, walk away from them?
Well, you know what Ye told me? I'll tell you verbatim what he said. He said, so you use the N-word. I said, yeah. He goes, well, when niggas are being niggas. I said, so true. That's so true.
And after all that, let's find out how Nick Fuentes feels about black people.
Everyone knows deep in their heart of hearts, they're not as smart as us. Black people are not as smart as white people in general.
You've also said you don't want to live near black people. Let's take a listen to this clip.
I'm a new generation of white person. I'm not living around blacks. Sorry. You know, I want white kids, and I don't want my white kids bringing home black people to marry.
You see why other races don't take us seriously as a people? Because we allow ourselves to be abused and we make light of our history and the heaviness of our history. And at the end of the day, many races don't respect us and they laugh at us. Respect is earned and respect is also demanded. And to pretend that a word like the N-word has no heaviness, or to make light of our history, like some people are saying slavery wasn't that bad, is playing right into white people's hands, especially racist white people's hands. because they want black people to be passive so that black people can stay in their place, and so that they could propagate the lies that black people are low down, no good people, and that the white race is the top, the cream of the crop, and the best race on the planet. And also to downplay the atrocities of their ancestors committed against the black race. And related to that, let's watch this clip. This is Lindsay Halligan, Trump's special assistant, who's been appointed to water down the history in the Smithsonian museums in the US. Let's listen.
But what I saw when I was going through the museums personally was an overemphasis on slavery. And I think there should be more of an overemphasis on how far we've come since slavery. Our country is a country of progress, and it's the greatest country in the world. And we should be able to take our kids, our students through the Smithsonian and feel proud when we leave. There's a lot of history to our country, both positive and negative, but we need to keep moving forward. We can't just keep focusing on the negative. All it does is divide us, and we really need to unite the country and focus on all the positive as we approach America's 250th birthday.
So in other words, let's not pay attention to slavery. Let's not pay attention to the N-word, because it all makes us look bad. It all makes us feel bad. Let's just ignore that and only talk about the good parts, so that history looks good on America and it doesn't all look bad on the white race. Let's move forward. But Trump just recently, in 2026, re-ratified Columbus Day. Let's move forward, but we still do celebrate 1776 with America's independence. They always talk about moving forward when it comes to black history. Let's move forward. Let's not think about that. But when it comes to anything else, we don't have to move forward. Interesting. It's about the erasure of black history, the erasure of the bad things that happened in the United States, and pretending that things weren't as bad as they were. Slavery and including the N-word. Let's be for real. Words aren't quote unquote just words. Words have meaning, and words have history tied to them. What else are we going to make acceptable towards black people on how black people should be treated? Is it now going to be acceptable for black people to be called monkeys because monkey is just a stupid word also?
He chimping out. He said, what's the issue? Because I looked at him.
Chimping out?
He chimping out.
Put that phone down.
Why?
Phone down.
You don't like looking ugly?
Put that phone down, boy. What the fuck?
He's chimping out.
I'm not with none of that.
Look at him, he's chimping out. I think the Clarksville Police Department thinks I'm pretty safe.
I don't give a fuck. I mean, at the end of the day, you
I'm pretty safe.
I just want you to know
You're a nick.
I just want you to know you're a racist.
I'm not a racist.
You're not
I
a
can
racist.
say what I want though.
I'm a
Yeah, you're a
Is that acceptable? And he said himself, he doesn't consider himself a racist. He's just properly identifying another human being in the terms that he apparently is allowed to or could be allowed to. Allowing white people to use the N-word in any iteration, whether it's an A at the end or ER or whatever, is like having a bully call your mom a dumb hoe every day. And instead of standing up for yourself, you're saying, you know what? Dumb hoe is a stupid word. So this person could continue to just call my mom a dumb hoe every day, continually, every day, no matter what. Let's be for real. In the United States, white people can say the N-word. But there was a time when it was even more accepted for them to use it, white people to use that word more liberally. And it was back then during the 17, 18, and 1900s. They would just use it to commonly refer to a black person. You can read that in those old classic novels from around that time, like To Kill a Mockingbird, which they made into a movie, The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, and The Adventures of Tom Sawyer. And during those times, when it was more widely acceptable for them to use the N-word freely, they did things like this. N-word boy king size cigarettes. These are real products from back in the day. Leadersdorf and Company N-word here brand cigarettes, more cigarettes. N-word Joe's tar soap. N-word boy steel wool pads, like the Brillo pads or the steel wool rather that you use to clean your pots and your pans. N-word head tar soap. These are real products. And 10 Little N-Words, the board games. See, they even made board games out of us. And at the time, white people didn't really look at it. A lot of white people didn't really look at it as offensive. They looked at it as the norm because they were freely allowed to use the N-word, like Amber Rose is saying they should be. So stuff like this is what you would have to look forward to. Do you feel it would be okay or acceptable to have the word so commonly used without regulation? And also to see different products like this as commonplace on store shelves? So if you're watching this on YouTube, let me know how you feel in the comments. Let me know how you feel about what Amber Rose had to say. Is she correct or is she incorrect, right or wrong? And just switching gears a little bit, if a racist white person comes at you in any way or comes at you using the N-word, you don't have to necessarily let them see that it ruins your day or that it hurts you. But you should also stand up for yourself and not just lay down and be passive and allow them to roll over you and do whatever you want to do. We all have our ways that we deal with things. It doesn't mean getting violent or confrontational either. There's a clip from Trevor Noah, a comedian and political commentator, where he discusses how he dealt with the N-word when somebody called him the N-word, how he dealt with it in a comedic fashion. I'll put a link in the description below. And remember, the best way to not be deceived, subjugated, and taken advantage of is to stay educated. Don't sleep.
Look out, nigga! The Klan is getting bigger!